Hello, friends. It's me, Mr. Ames, again. I hope all of you are staying safe and healthy during these trying times. I miss you guys so much. I can't wait to be back in our classroom together. I don't know about you guys, but today it's been a cold, rainy day. As winter approaches, I've been thinking a lot about, the holidays, and thought it'd be fun to do a little project today. I was thinking perhaps we could make a snowflake together. I spent a couple minutes. I kind of prepared one already to show you what it looks like. I think it'd be fun. It's very simple. It looks too tough, but I promise you, it's not as hard as it looks. All right, so to do this project, we're going to need to gather our supplies first. That's always the most efficient way to do everything. Make sure we have everything we need before we get started. Make sure we're not running around. Make sure we're prepared, have everything nice and neat, so we're not looking for things as we go. It'll really help to streamline the process. All right, so the supplies we're going to need for this project, for the snowflake itself, we're going to need 6 pieces of paper. So I have right here 6 pieces. The other one I did white. I figured this time I would try to change it up a little bit and do some different colors. I got a white, kind of a teal blue, and then a darker blue. Any colors you have will work. White's great. You can color it, you can design it, you can do it however you'd like. Yeah, and then we're also going to need a pair of scissors. Remember, with our scissors, we always want to carry them with the blade covered, facing down. That way, if we trip and fall, we don't stab ourselves. And also, as we're walking, we want to make sure we're not stabbing anyone else. We also are going to need a stapler. You don't need a full-size stapler. If you have one of the mini ones, that's even better. You'll see why when we get to that point. And also a roll of tape. Perfect. Let's get started. All right. The first thing we're going to need to do is take one piece of paper, and we're going to fold it diagonally across. It's not going to line up. What we're going to be trying to do here is create a square piece of paper. So we're going to fold this guy right across. We're going to put it down just out of sight for 1 second. There we go. So what we're going to do is have that. And this little top piece is where we're going to want to cut off. We're going to use that as a guide. So we're going to start here. I'm going to come across. And I am going to cut, very straight line, straight as you can make it. If it's a little crooked, that's not a big deal at all, okay? We can work with it. Cut right across, so we'll take that off. It's gonna fly away. If it flies away, that's fine. Take a second, pick it up. We're gonna try to keep ourselves neat as we work. It's gonna save us a lot of time at the end from cleanup. So now after we've cut that top piece off, what we're gonna have here is a nice little square. Now, you want to take a second and you're going to cut all 6 of your papers into squares. I'll give you guys a second to do that. Now's a good time to pause. I'm going to get myself ready and then I'll be back in a second with the next step. Alright friends, I've taken the time. I've got all 6 pieces of paper cut up into squares. Now I'm ready for the next step. Now if you haven't gotten to that next step, that's okay. You can re-pause the video. You can take a second. You can cut the rest of them up. So with that being said, let's move on. We're going to take our next square and we're going to refold it along that first triangle line that we had. So right here, we're going to have that. We'll end up with 2 triangles and we're going to touch the 2 corners and we're going to fold in half. You can walk your fingers across little pinches. You can also hold and slide. The little pinches tend to be a little bit more accurate, less chance of making a mistake. But as you go on, however you feel comfortable, you can go with. So we're going to take a second. We're going to do the other 5 pieces. We've done 1. We have 5 more to go. So we're going to do 5 more. We're going to go 1. That's 2. I'm going to cut away for a second. I'll be right back. All right, friends. I've got my 6 squares all folded up into nice little triangles. And I'm ready for the next step. So the next step, we're going to have to take our scissors. We're going to get them at the ready. We're going to take one of the triangles. So we'll take 1 triangle. What we're going to do, we're going to cut on the folded side. Now there's a couple of folded sides, so it's not going to be this one that's folded, it's going to be this one that's folded on the outside most, so it should just be 1 fold. It's not going to be this little side that's the paper, it's going to be this fold right here. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're going to grab our scissors. Fix my paper here, it was a little crooked. Let's try to straighten it out. It'll kind of help me make the best snowflake possible. And then I'm going to grab my scissors. And with the scissors, I'm going to cut carefully on the line, or on the fold rather, not on the line. But we're going to cut right across, kind of following this side, which was the one that wasn't folded. So we're going to cut across, and we'll go almost to the end, but not quite. It's very important not to go to the end. If you do, it's okay. You can get a new piece of paper. You can start over on that one. Go back to the step before. You can rewind the video, kind of see where we're at. Then we're going to take another one, and we're going to cut straight across, right next to the other one. A word you might hear some people use for that is parallel. Parallel means the two lines are going to be going in a line right next to each other. They'll be separated. They won't touch, but they'll be both straight to one another. So that word was parallel. Kind of a fun word. And then we're going to cut one more line. This one's also going to be parallel to the other, so straight across. And we'll go a little snip and a little snip. And again, remember not to cut all the way through. So what we're going to end up with on this step is 3 cuts. So you'll have 1 cut here, 2 cuts here, 3 cuts here. And they're all done on that fold line, kind of parallel to that flat edge that didn't have the fold. If you want to pause the video, I'm going to take a second. I'm going to cut the rest of mine, and I'll meet you back here in a minute. All right, friends, I'm back. I've gotten all 6 of my triangles cut up on the line. I have 3 lines on each cut, 1, 2, 3. Again, was right on the fold. Parallel. Remember, parallel means in a line with this side that wasn't the folded side. So, I don't know about you. I'm excited. I'm ready to build this snowflake. What do you say? All right. So what we're going to do after we have those lines cut, we're going to open it up. We'll kind of start to see what we've done here. And we got to be careful. Sometimes they get a little tangled. Go nice and slow. Open it carefully so we don't rip it. If you rip it, that's okay. We can use a tape to fix it. We can use a glue stick. You could also start over. Again, not a big deal. We can work with it. So what we're going to do now, the next step, is take these pieces. We're going to grab this inside guy. This is a little tricky. We're going to take our time. We're going to go right here, grab those 2 inside guys. With them, we're going to touch them together. We're going to get a piece of tape, and we're going to tape right on there, okay? And what you should end up with is a nice little loop. So it should look something like that. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Got a nice little piece of tape there, holding that all together. We end up with a nice little circle. And that was with the inner one. So I'm actually going to take a quick second and put a couple pieces of tape, rip them off, get them ready. That'll make it easier for me when I go to attach the next one, because you might want to do the same thing. So we're going to take the next one, and we're going to grab the next triangle or diamond, I suppose it is, something like that. We're going to take that, and we're going to grab that one and bring it to the back, and the same thing with the other one. So they're going to go to the opposite side as the loop. If you guys don't remember, opposite means the other side. So we should end up with, on this step, sorry, it's a little tricky to hold, all this paper everywhere. We're going to end up with 1 loop on the bottom, 1 loop on the top. So now we're going to switch back to this top side, the one that had the first loop. And we're going to grab the next one out and the next one over here. And we're going to bring them together. Grab those tape, grab a piece of tape that we had put aside, got them ready for us. That way it's a little easier trying to peel the tape off of the table or hanging off the table rather than trying to get off the dispenser with one hand. And then the last step on this guy is going to be that last piece is going to go to the opposite side again. We'll tape that right on there. So what we should have is this little piece of paper. As we look at it, we have 2 loops going one way and 2 loops going the other way. The part that I thought was kind of interesting was that all these little crisscross points where they cross or meet are all kind of right in a row as they go across. That was kind of neat. If you guys want to go ahead, we're going to do that to all 6 pieces of paper. For these next steps, we're going to need our stapler. Again, if you don't have the big one, a small one is even better. We're We're not going to need our scissors. We're going to be done with that. We're also not going to need any of the scraps of paper we made, so we're going to take a quick second to clean up. It's really going to help us to have a nice clean area as we do this last step. So, as I said on that last step, I've gone ahead, I've taped up rather, each of these squares that I had cut. And if you remember, I said I had a couple different colors. If you have all white, or if you decorated yours, that's cool. We're gonna kind of create a little bit of a pattern. So I'm gonna take the first one. I'm gonna start with a blue, a teal blue. I'm gonna go to a white next. So I'm gonna put those two corner to corner. It's hard to see with the camera here, but if you bear with me, we got the little corners that touch them together. And I'm gonna get my other blue, the dark blue. I'm also going to touch that corner. So I have a little sandwich here with a teal, a white, and a dark blue. And I'm going to have a nice pinch there, and I'm going to get my stapler. With my stapler, I'm going to staple right in the corner there, being very careful not to staple my fingers. So that's 3 of them. And what you should have is kind of 3 tied together. They're going to be a little floppy right now, but that's okay. And then we're going to grab our other 3, and I'm going to make that same sandwich that I just made. I'm going to do my teal with the white and the dark blue. Perfect. And what I'm going to do, again, staple them, being very, very careful not to get my fingers in there. So after that step, I should have 2 identical pieces. If yours are all white, that's cool. If yours are like mine, they're a couple different colors, that's also cool. So we're on to our last step, and I don't know about you, but I'm so excited to see this snowflake finished. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take those 2 staple bundles in the corners, and we are going to staple them into a big bundle of 6. Being careful not to staple through the other staple, and also being careful not to staple our fingers. So a little tricky one. There we go. Done it. So now we have all 6 of them stapled together. And the last final step here is going to be to take where these 2 pieces meet. So you'll have a little spot where you taped before, and this guy's got a spot. You're going to touch those 2 together. So blue touching the darker blue. We're going to slide our stapler in there. Again, watching out for our fingers. This is where I was saying that little stapler would be really good because it would be able to fit in a tight spot. It's a little hard for me with the big stapler. Kind of just stapled one of mine in the wrong spot, but that's okay. I can just kind of carefully undo it. And then we're going to work our way right around the snowflake. So we're going to do the middle of this blue one, now with the next white one. Kind of having a hard time seeing me. Snowflake's a little bit big. Speaking of bigger snowflakes, I've heard that you can make different size snowflakes by changing the size of the squares. So if you want to make some small snowflakes, you can use smaller squares. If you want to make like really, really big snowflakes, I thought that was pretty cool. You can use giant pieces of paper, make huge snowflakes. You make a bunch of snowflakes, put them all over your house. It's absolutely crazy. Have a good time with them. We're just going to kind of keep working our way around. So I took the white where that little spot was taped and taped it to the blue on the outside there. We are almost there. Got a couple more to go. We're going to do blue and blue, dark blue and blue. And again, see where the tape was. We got the tape, touch those 2 together. Now we're putting the staple. I think if you don't have a stapler too, that you could probably make it work with a another piece of tape, or maybe even a glue stick. Those will probably all work. I think those will be okay. We're going to work our way again. We got blue and blue, or teal and white. And then, so I've got all, but this last one, you can kind of see they're connected right here, right here, right here. And we're going to take this last one where the white meets the white, meets the blue with the tape spots. And we are going to do one little staple right there. Right in there, watch your fingers. And voila. We have this nice, lovely snowflake. I really like how the white and the blue and the teal kind of made it in a pattern, but you can also do it white, white, blue, blue, so you can kind of incorporate some patterns into your designs. I've also heard instead of straight lines, you can cut little squiggle lines. I haven't tried it. Maybe after you make one or two and you really get the hang of it, you can start to experiment with that. That would also be a fun idea to see what shapes and patterns you can make. Zigzags, squiggles, all kinds of fun stuff. Um, if you want, you can also put a little string in here. I don't happen to have any string around the house today. Um, Maybe you can use one of the little pieces of paper you cut off as a little hanger, tape it on, and you can kind of hang it up. Um, but yeah, that's going to be it. I had so much fun crafting this snowflake with you guys. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. I'd love if you guys would email them to me. I think that would be really cool to see some of our creations that we come up with. Maybe we could start a little gallery of some sort. What do you guys think? All right. Thanks again, guys. I had so much fun today. As always, you matter.